Hello everyone and welcome to another Commander Tactics video. My name is Pope. Today's video is the first in a series that we will be calling Hidden Gems. In these videos, we will be scouring Magic's history to find underplayed cards that we think deserve to be in the spotlight. Before we get into today's topic, I wanted to remind everyone that we do now have a Discord dedicated to all things Magic. If you enjoy brewing, are looking for some advice, or maybe you just want to show off your latest foils, jump in and get involved. The link for that can be found in the description below this video. But now, without any further ado, let's jump into the hidden gems of this video, and that is going to be our pick for 5 mono-colored commanders. For the gems in this video, we really wanted to make sure we found some good ones, so we made sure that we only chose commanders that had less than 100 decks on EDHREC. The price of these commanders come in under $5 a piece, and we didn't want to pick cards that were unique simply because of their printing. We're looking at you, Portal 3 Kingdoms. And lastly, these commanders have unique abilities that encourage unique deck builds. But let us get the show started with the 5th best color in Magic, and that's white. The commander that we're excited to bring to you is Krovax Ascendant Hero. Krovax is a 4/4 human lord, costing 4 and double white that gives all other white creatures +1/+1 and all non-white creatures -1/-1. He also has the ability to bounce himself at any time by simply paying 2 life. With less than 50 decks on EDHREC, Krovax offers up a super strong ability for our mono white deck. Instantly when brewing around Krovax, my mind went to Anthem Tribal. With so many Anthem options in white, we can really make our side of the board gigantic. And of course, we would want to be going as wide as possible to maximize that benefit, generate a ton of tokens, and be able to turn sideways. But to ensure we have the edge, we're also going to add in a few spells that would help to tilt the scales even more in our favor. Krovax can almost never be removed thanks to that bounce ability, and that's going to allow us to get around commander tax entirely and always have a playable spell. Moving on to blue, we have another 6 CMC commander in Tomorrow, Azami's Familiar. This 1/5 spirit costing 5 and a blue says if we would draw a card instead, we get to look at the top 3 cards of our deck, put one of them into our hand and the rest on the bottom of our library. This ability in blue can be abused so easily because of the insane amount of card draw options that we have. But the first strategy I think that would be perfect is wheel effects. If we get to wheel our hand for 5 or 6 cards, that means with Tomorrow in play, we're going to be digging 15 to 18 cards deep and be able to have an insane amount of flexibility. And to complement the wheels, blue has undoubtedly the best card draw spells in Magic, so you know that we're going to be digging even deeper with those. It's important to note that Tomorrow's ability is a replacement effect, so at no point are we actually drawing cards. And the last option that I think could be unique with Tomorrow would be a group hug dynamic. There are a ton of spells that will allow everyone at the table to draw more, but we would be able to leverage that bonus just a little bit more than anyone else. With only 45 decks on EDHREC and costing only $1, Tomorrow has a ton of potential and deserves much more love today. Get it? Because it's called Tomorrow. Okay. Up next in black, we have an old school flip commander in Kwon Ogre Ascendant. This 2/4 Ogre Monk costs triple black and reads, at the beginning of the end step, if 3 or more creatures died this turn, flip Kwon Ogre Ascendant. Once Kwon flips, he becomes the legendary enchantment Kwon's Essence and reads, at the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacks a creature. While this is a symmetrical effect, we are going to build to deal with that, but first, we need to get Kwon to flip out, and to do that, we have several options that make all players at the table sack creatures. This should be a relatively easy task to accomplish between all the edict effects and abilities. And then, once we have the essence online, we want to take advantage of it, so we'll have tons of token generators to pay the upkeep cost, but also benefit from tons of drain abilities strapped on to our other creatures. Kwon is a relatively straightforward commander looking to control the board state and win through draining, but with only 24 decks on EDHREC, we wanted to give him a boost and hopefully start seeing him pop up at some more tables. Moving on to red, we have a tried and true strategy on a new face. Well, it's an old face, but a good one, and that is Patron of the Aki. This 5/5 spirit costs 4 and double red and has Goblin Offering. Now, what is Goblin Offering, you might be asking? Well, Goblin Offering allows us to cast Patron of the Aki at flash speed by sacrificing a goblin. It also reduces the casting cost of Patron by the mana cost of the goblin that we sacrificed. Flash built into a commander is a very powerful effect, letting us to be more responsive and selective when we need to. But Patron of the Aki also says that when it attacks, it pumps all of our other creatures by +2/+0 until end of turn. This Goblin Tribal Commander looks to harness big combat steps by generating tons of tokens and turning sideways to wipe out our opponents. Over the past couple years, Goblin Tribal has received several amazing new includes, and this deck can benefit off of all of them. A fun take on Goblin Tribal, and with only 4 decks on EDHREC and costing less than a Yoo-Hoo, I mean, come on, give a patron a try. And rounding out these amazing commanders in green, we have my favorite pick, and that is Iwamori of the Open Fist. For only 2 generic and 2 green, we get a 5/5 human monk with trample. That by itself sounds pretty good, but Iwamori comes with a little more text. When Iwamori enters the battlefield, each opponent may put a legendary creature card from his or her hand onto the battlefield. When I first read this, I thought how awesome of an ability this was. We could build a deck filled with super powerful green legendaries and just start popping off. And then I read it again. Each opponent. Oh man, is there a way that we could ever leverage this ability in our favor? And I absolutely think there is. If we're never the biggest threat, then maybe we can turn this into a mono green politics commander. To ensure we preserve our life, we could build a turbo fog sub-theme. If our opponents know that we're holding tons of fogs, then maybe it will incentivize a few less attacks our way. Then we can lean into a group hug mode and provide our opponents with more fodder to keep killing one another. And then when the dust has settled, hopefully we're in a 1v1 situation and we can sneak in with some big damage from the boy himself. Iwamori is all about getting the party started and getting everyone involved. But with only 12 total decks being represented on EDHREC, that makes Iwamori a gem, no doubt. But that's going to be it for this episode of Hidden Gems. These 5 commanders are each incredibly affordable, underrepresented, and promote some really creative brewing. And that for me is what Commander is really all about. But what are some of your favorite underplayed mono color commanders? Let us know down in the comments section below, and they might just show up on a future episode of Hidden Gems. Hey, if you're new here and you enjoyed this content, let us know by hitting that like button. We really do appreciate it. And if you loved it and you want to know when our next video drops, maybe consider hitting that subscribe button. But if you really loved it, you can find us over on Patreon at Commander Tactics and on Twitter at EDH Tactics. A new video comes your way every Friday. Appreciate you guys. Stay safe, stay healthy out there, and we'll see you for the next one.